Hi, welcome to Texas Lone Wolf, making all your source for Red Pill Truth. Today we're going to discuss welfare fraud. Excuse me. We're going to discuss welfare fraud, how it affects the taxpayers in every way, life, and form. All right. So we're going to talk about this. Okay. We're going to talk about how it affects everyone. Now, some of these are going to be really. It's really going to be mind-boggling. Are you ready? So we're going to take a good look at this. Now, this Rachel Dolezal, she wrote a book. All right. So she had 2 felony convictions in Washington State. All right. So this was reported April 15, 2019. So in last May, that was in 28. I think it's 20. Okay. So, anyways, she failed to report tens of thousands of dollars in income from her memoir, In Full Color and Finding My Place in a Black and White World. Her own book, she admitted this. She collected $847 in child food and child care assistance from the state. So even the defense attorney is saying that she took the anyways, it's just anyways. So I just need you to understand that welfare fraud happens to a bunch of people. Okay, and so anyways, yeah, it's just and also she roots okay her parents and all that. Now, I'm gonna put this here in the description section. Okay, she deposited almost $84,000 into her bank account over a 2-year period from a variety of sources without reporting most of it to the Department of all that. And this here is about the Brownsville 2 women that filed to be residents in the United States. They were going the legal way. They decided to go out commit criminal offense and sending money back to Mexico. So, I mean, they have to pay that in restitution. They pled guilty, commit something in a fraud. It hurts everybody. This one here is the one that will blow all the other articles out of the water that I'm going to show you in this video, okay? So, what happened according to court documents beginning in February 2016, investigators revealed Urino Rioja, other co-conspirator, exchanged SNAP benefits for cash by using a point-of-sale device at a local meat market Rioja owned. Additionally, authorities discovered the co-conspirator to conduct fraudulent transaction at a Sam's wholesale club. The investigation discovered 715 fraudulent transactions were linked to 83 unique SNAP benefit recipients, which conspirators redeemed for cash for food. Urino fraudulent purchase totaled approximately 49.1 tons of American cheese slices, 22.3 tons of pinto beans, 1.6 tons of Folgers coffee, 1.4 tons of instant mashed potatoes, over 5,000 gallons of mayonnaise, which he would sell to a partner to transport to Mexico. This is and majority of the fraud is ongoing under our noses. It's a matter of time before they get caught. Between September 2014 to August 19, a 5-year period, they conducted approximately $1.2 million in fraudulent transactions. I'm going to put this in the description, okay? This is horrible. Okay, in Georgia, all right. Excuse me. Actually, I'm sorry. This year actually would blow the other ones out of the water. $18 million WIC and food stamp fraud conspiracy. And 34 additional defendants charged with allegedly selling their federal food stamp benefits for cash. This hurts the taxpayers. Savannah, Georgia, a federal indictment today unsealed in Savannah, which charged 54 defendants for the alleged roles in massive fraud in the food stamp, WIC, and food stamp programs. Anybody attempting to commit this? This is very temptation. This is very tempting. And I want to emphasize there's no certain genders associated with this. This one right here. Male and female were both charged by the state of Georgia. Okay? This here the indictment represents the largest federal food program frauds ever prosecuted. The largest. Which fraud allegedly involved the purchase of over 18 million in WIC vouchers and food stamp benefits for cash through number of purported grocery stores set up throughout Georgia. In addition to the 54 defendant indictment, 34 defendants have been charged separately for alleged selling their WIC vouchers and food stamp benefits for cash. The list of all defendants charged is attached. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to y'all. Georgia's Women, Infant, Children WIC program provides infant formula, juice, eggs, fresh fruits, and vegetables, other healthy foods to low-income, pregnant, postpartum women, and to infants up to children up to age 5 who are nutritionally at risk. Participants in WIC program receive 3 months supplies of WIC vouchers, which they can exchange at authorized stores for healthy food listed on the vouchers. The food stamp program, known as SNAPS, or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, provides food stamp benefits for low-income families through electronic benefits transfer EBT cards, which are similar to debit cards. It is a crime to exchange WIC or food stamp benefits for cash. Both WIC and food stamp programs are administered through the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and paid for by federal tax dollars. And guess who pays the taxes? Anyone who has a job, they pay federal income tax. That money goes into that. Okay? The 54 defendant indictment alleges that numbers of defendants conspired to open purport grocery stores in Savannah, Macon, Atlanta, Garden City, Lithonia, LaGrange, Stone Mountain, Riverdale, and elsewhere on purpose of buying WIC and food stamp benefits for cash. One of the purported stores were open and approved as WIC and food stamp vendors. Many of the defendants allegedly canvassed low-income neighborhoods and solicited WIC and food stamp participants to illegally exchange their benefits not for food but for cash. A big no-no. Defendants then allegedly bought WIC and food stamp benefits for cash at a fraction of the amount they received from USDA by redeeming the benefits they have purchased. The defendants also allegedly conspired to launder over $18 million in proceeds received from their fraud upon the WIC and food stamp programs. Now, 34 defendants charged separately with a larger indictment were alleged to have sold to cash over the $1,000 worth of their own WIC or food stamp benefits at the WIC or food stamp benefits of their own minor children. Not only the taxpayers suffer from this, the children also suffer this because some adults decide to go out and, utilize this cash for their own selfish needs, such as tattoos or piercing or BBL or some other nonsense. The society has actually gone wild, if you ask me. And the only red tape applies to the application process for WIC and food stamp programs, like to the servicemen, to the elderly, disabled, and those on SSI. They have to be red taped. Thank you to the defendants who participate in this scheme right here to actually sell taxpayer benefits for cash. Thank you very much. You made it much harder for the honest people to get help that they desperately need. And you know what? To the criminals, if you are on YouTube, I hope you're banned for life for getting these benefits. Because once you break the rules once, you're going to break the rules again. It's like a gerbil in the cage in the wheel, just going around and around and around. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue on with this story. United States Attorney Edward Tarver said the prosecution is one of the largest federal food program frauds ever brought. The government alleges that defendants stole taxpayer-funded benefits intended to feed most needy families and children in our communities. Fraudsters, beware. The U.S. Attorney Office is committed to working with our federal and state partners to investigate and prosecute complex financial fraud. Do you want to know what the solution to this is? Go get you a damn job and quit committing crime like this. And you won't go to jail. Especially when it attacks government programs funded by taxpayers of the United States. Guess what? There's two victims here. The taxpayers of the United States and the legitimate recipients of the programs. Those two are the victims. They have to suffer from the fraudsters. You see? And if you disagree with this, hey, that's on you, bro. That's on you, bro or sis. That's on you. It's a matter of time when you're going to get caught. And the fat lady's going to sing in court when your sentence is being read to you by the judge. This investigation and prosecution sends a strong zero-tolerance message to those individuals who create businesses for purposes of specifically defrauding taxpayers' funded WIC and SNAP programs. Amen, said Karen Sitson-Wilcox, a special agent in charge. Congratulations to you, my friend. USDA OIG investigation, it should serve as a warning to all stores that participate in WIC and SNAP programs as vendors. That fraud and trafficking purchase of those benefits for cash will be vigorously investigated and prosecuted by the USDA OIG and the U.S. Attorney's Office. All of its federal, states, and local partners have a stake in ensuring fraud is eliminated from taxpayer-funded programs. As I said, two victims suffer. Number one, the people that depend on this program to have food survival. Two, the taxpayers that pay income taxes to support these programs. And USDA OIG applauds the steadfast and resolution of the U.S. Attorney Office. Also prosecute the WIC EPT benefit recipients who choose to sell their benefits rather than use them for their intended purpose of purchasing nutritious foods for themselves and their eligible children. You know what? Like I said, 2 victims suffer from this. You got those that are on SSI, those that are on SSDI, and those that are, um, you know, indigent. They're not receiving any money. They have to be red taped. And then we got the taxpayers, so to speak. And yes, anybody don't agree with this, or you hit dislike because you think my story right here on or video is to tell the unpleasant truth about the fraud that happens in, government programs. Hey, you know what? Somebody's got to step up, and somebody's got to say, "Hey, don't even think about it." Everybody suffers at the hand of these fraudsters. And this right here is not going to end well. The enduring cooperation between Georgia Department of Public Health, local law enforcement, and U.S. Attorney Office should send a clear signal to those contemplating WIC fraud, said Brenda Fitzgerald, DPH commissioner, who's committed to prosecution. We're committed to working together to detect, eliminate fraud, to preserve precious funds for those who need it the most. J. Britt Johnson, Special Agent in charge of FBI Atlanta Field Office, stated the protection of such important federally funded programs such as WIC and food stamps from your wholesale fraud is paramount. Hey, I agree. The families and children who truly need and rely on these programs count on the law enforcement protection, and the taxpayers who demand it. The FBI will continue to work with many varied law enforcement partners in combating such rampant case of fraud against the U.S. government. Hey, you know what? It's time to step up. I did a video on Section 8 eviction. And remember, if you're going to go break the rules, expect to pay the consequences. It ain't worth it. The WIC and food stamp programs are designed to provide necessary nutrition to most vulnerable members of society. Yes. I believe I listed them, didn't I? Okay, let me see if I can revise my listing. The people on SSI, SSDI, the indigent, the discharged military servicemen and servicewomen who, have trouble getting jobs. They need help. They pay their dues in serving for us in the military force. They need to get help. And children. Okay? In a comment below on this video, let me know if I left anyone out. I don't want anybody to feel excluded. All right? Or be excluded. Now, this is a very serious problem. And this is happening all across the United States. From the East Coast to the West Coast to the middle of America. And even Hawaii or Puerto Rico and Alaska. Okay? And the WIC food stamp program is designed to provide necessary nutrition for the most vulnerable members of society. Charge of HSI Atlanta. HSI is proud to have assisted the U.S. Department of Agriculture and other protecting the program from alleged fraudulent activity in the state of Georgia. And yes, more is to come later on. You think you're too bad and big and you're indefensible. You can't be touched. Try again. Okay, right here. Each of the 54 defendants listed in the larger indictment have been charged with one count of mail and wire fraud conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, a fine up to $250,000, one count of money laundering conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of another 20 years in prison, a fine up to $500,000. You know what? I am so glad that they set this. They may have to bump it up and make it where you know, where it's very hard for somebody to get help once they've been indicted on this. Okay, the United States further seeks the forfeiture of $20 million and various bank accounts and assets, including a 2008 Land Rover, 2008 Mercedes-Benz. Each of the 34 defendants conspiring to sell their food stamp faces a maximum of 5 years in prison and a $250 fine. Mr. Tarver emphasized the indictment is only an accusation and not evidence of guilt. The defendants are entitled to a fair trial, during which will be the government's burden to prove the guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Amen to this. Sorry about that. The indictments rise out of joint investigations by special agents with the United States Department of Agriculture. Before you think about defrauding the U.S. government, think about the penalties that you would have to pay. Okay? You know what? I'm fixing to show you all this, and I'm thinking about just going ahead and stopping here and let y'all see the names for yourself, because I'm not going to read the names. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be in court or if they have already been sentenced. The indictments rose out of a joint investigation by special agents in the United States. Okay, yeah, I read that. And members of these agencies assisted by U.S. Marshals, Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force, and numerous other law enforcement personnel arrested a number of defendants earlier today. Initial appearance being held tomorrow in Savannah, Macon, and Atlanta. You know what? Man, this is the biggest bust. This was dated 2014. I don't know if they've been sentenced. And this here is already in New York. All right, this is in New York. Just give you a heads up. This is in New York. This year is in 2019. And $104,000 in benefits. And I got the names right here. I'm going to let you look at them. This here will be attached to the description. Anyways, I'm glad you got a chance to check out this video. Just remember, fraud not only affects the taxpayers, it affects the disabled, the elderly, the vulnerable, and the needy. And thank you for watching this video, and peace out to everyone.